Hi, my name is Erika, I'm a knitter from Brazil, and you are watching another piece of this series, Everything I Ever Knitted, and today we're going to talk about my knitted accessories. This is a very humble pile, and my title, which is Every Accessory in My Knitted Wardrobe, is a little bit of a lie, because I already talked about other accessories that I knitted for myself in other videos, which are Every Sophie I Ever Knitted and Every Vintage Knit I Ever Knitted. There, in each video, you will have other 3 accessories, so in total 6, that are not in the video today because I don't want to be redundant. We're going to talk about these little things, and I should say that I already divided the rest of my projects in 2 other videos that will then finally close this series. We will have Every Gift I Ever Knitted, which will be pretty long because it turns out I have 19 projects to talk about there, and Every Garment in My Knitted Wardrobe, which are then I think 8 or 12 maybe garments to talk about. So without further ado, let's dive in. The first project that we have today is a headscarf. If you follow my podcast for a while, you already know I love to knit kerchiefs and headscarves, and this was the one that started it all. And funny enough, it's the only one that I have saved for myself. All the other ones I ended up giving to my sister, but I want to knit some for me too. This one, I knitted it between June 13 and June 17, 2023. It's the Daydreamer Headscarf by Becca Parkett. I finished it in 4 days, and it was knitted in 4mm needles with yarn Euro-Roma Passione, which is a sport weight yarn, 85% cotton, 15% other fibers, recycled fibers, and the colorway pink, rosa, right? I used only 30 grams or 79 meters of this yarn, and it was my first ever lace project. I really enjoyed knitting it. I feared lace before that. I had knitted since 2021 or 2020, I think, and since the beginning I feared lace. However, this project made me lose the fear of lace because it's only yarn overs and increases and decreases. Not much in there. Of course, you need to do them right. And here we have a problem. I didn't. You can see those flowery things, but it doesn't look like the sample because look close. Can you spot the problem? Yeah, I was twisting my stitches. I think I talked about it in my video about the beginner mistakes I made. But the fact is that until the half of 2023, I was twisting my stitches because I knitted both the knit and the purl from the right side, something like that. I don't remember what I did, but I get this result. You can see it too here, which was knitted close to that time too. You see the twisted stitches. Twisted stockinette is its own texture, but it's not correct. Twisting my stitches made the lace look very weird, right? This pattern has some sort of garter edge, just one stitch, very thin, and it has I-cords as ties. It's quite short. I think that if I were to make it today, I would make 1 or 2 repeats more before I finish it. And today I would be able to deviate from the pattern and keep doing the repeats. Although I did understand that what I was doing was a repeat, so to say. You can see it here. I'm not much of a pink person. I think this is one of my 3 knitted items in pink. One of them my June top light, and the other a vest that I made. It looks cute. I end up giving away my kerchiefs because I'm not sure that I look very well with the peasant style, the cottagecore style, but here it is. It's quite useful, I should say. Kerchiefs in general, very useful for someone who has long hair to keep it away from the face when we are doing chores. Maybe that's why the peasants would wear it. So let's go to our next project. Our next project is this one that I just showed you. It's not an accessory, but I didn't know where to fit it in my videos when I made that division. So I decided to bring it here because it's closer to an accessory than to a garment, right? Yes, this is a dishcloth and nothing more than that. To be honest, I don't know when I started it. I know that I finished it June 2023, but I had been knitting in it for months because it was one of my first waiting room knits that I talked about. I just keep them in my bag and I take them away. The name of the pattern is, sorry for my pronunciation of Norwegian, I don't know exactly the language, Bla Rander, something like that, which means blue stripes. I think it's a traditional style from the country of the designer, which is Hele Benedict Nygaard, I believe. You can see that it's very muted here, but this color wasn't like that, it was quite bright. However, I use it a lot, I washed this a lot. I like to use it to dry my hair because it's 85% cotton, which my towels are not. So it's good to prevent the hair for getting like that, a lot of frizz. So I sometimes use it to dry my hair when I wash it, or I just keep it in my bag. But it's not a very good dishcloth, to be honest. You can see it's super thick, it's dense because I knitted in 3mm needles and I had the tightest of tension back there. Why did I cast this on? I cast it on to be practice because I had cotton in my stash and I could then use it. However, with this project I found out I have no interest in knitting dishcloths. I have knitted other dishcloths or homeware later, but it was more interesting for me. I like to learn techniques in stuff that I could wear, or even if I am not going to wear that often or ever, like some projects in my vintage knitting video, I still want to have more enjoyment, not just to be a square. And nothing against a square, but people say don't start knitting with a scarf, start knitting with a dishcloth. I think that most people that start knitting with a dishcloth will give up on knitting because it's so boring. I would say if you don't want to knit a garter scarf, that very classic first knitting project, start then with a beanie with another accessory, which will have still the quick element, the potential to be quick, but you will be able to wear it. In the end, you will have more interest in the project. Well, whatever, that was it. I named it the hospital cloth because I knitted it a lot when I was with my mom at the hospital and it wasn't a very pleasant time, so maybe I associated the memories to this one. Then we have one of my most beloved, most worn projects ever, which are my socks. The only one I have knitted for myself and one of the two I have ever knitted. You can see this here. They might be a little raggedy already, a little bit with peeling here at the heel and at the toe and everything because I love them. I have worn them so much. The pattern is the I'm So Basic socks by Summer Lee. Very common one, tons of projects on Ravelry, and for a reason, it's an amazing pattern. I haven't ever knitted other. I know there are other basic patterns that are also very famous, like the vanilla socks by the Crazy Sock Lady, and I want to try those too, but this already became my vanilla sock pattern because I have everything I need there. The yarns are Fios da Fazenda, Sock, Merino, Superwash. Tripline, yes. This is the yarn. It's a Brazilian yarn, very good yarn. It's the only brand that we have here that sells 100% merino, national brand. And their yarn is very high quality. I think they are selling now in the US. If you can buy it, do, because I really love the quality. Even though it's superwash, it didn't grow too much. And the colors are 240 black. And this is candombe, I don't remember the number. It's a speckled yarn, the beige was speckled, and I joke that this is the only way that I will wear beige and that I will wear speckled yarn, I have variegated yarn in my socks. And to be honest, I don't like when I see variegated socks either. I don't like variegated yarn for anything, but speckled, it's cute. I wouldn't wear it in a sweater, or something that went close to my face, or even in mittens, I think, but in the socks, lovely. And as I said, these are one of a pair. I bought the two and I made one for myself and this one for my boyfriend, which are matchy socks, so we could have them. I made them back to back, so the only time in which I knitted socks in my life were from September to November 2023. And this, they took much more. They took 1 month and 5 days, I guess. And his ones took 19 days. Because I had a deadline, I wanted to give it to him for his birthday. And because I had just knitted this. And these were my practice. If you are here for a while, you know I don't knit with wool very often. and I didn't want to make a practice sock in acrylic because I didn't want my feet to overheat. And I think that the socks have to be knitted with wool, and that's the reason maybe why I don't knit socks every time. If I will buy wool, I generally will do it for a sweater, a top, or something that will be more visible. And to be honest, it's also not the most enjoyable experience to knit those things with lots of stitches in magic loop in very tiny needles. I think it takes very long for what it is. For such a small project, it takes very long. But as I was going to make this, I made my research very well, and I watched a bunch of videos with tips for your first sock knitting. The two that helped me the most were one by Stephen West. This one made me understand how to measure my feet to pick a size, and then one from Nerdy Knitter. I will post the links below so you can check it out as well. Well, I knitted those in 2mm needles, and I still didn't get gauge because her gauge is 40 stitches in 10 centimeters. It's a very tiny gauge. And with this yarn I couldn't get it, so I got 36.5 stitches and 40 rows in 10 centimeters. I knitted both mine and his in the size medium. However, I knitted his in a 2.5mm needle, so I got 33 stitches in 10 inches, so it was a little bigger. Very good fitting socks for him. He likes it too. He calls him the raccoon socks. I love this project. Love. I think it might be my most worn knit ever. I want to knit other socks for myself, and I want to knit also some for my family members. It will mean 4 pairs of socks. It's a lot of sock knitting. That's it. Let's go to the next project. My next accessory was knitted in one day. Actually, I started in one afternoon. I could have finished it in this afternoon if I didn't try to fix mistakes in brioche. I should have ripped it all, started again. I didn't do it, so it took me longer, and I ended up finishing in the other day. That's it. It's the one that I'm wearing in photo of my channel, at least by now. Maybe I will change the picture, so I don't know when you will be watching it. I was wearing this in the picture of my channel, and it's a brioche headband knitted in bulky weight yarn and 8mm needles. This is a leftover yarn I got from a gift knit I made for my sister, a lacy meshy cardigan, which I will show and tell you all about in maybe the next video, maybe the other one. It took only, I think, 42 grams, 42 meters of yarn. It was my first and only so far brioche project. You can see very squishy. I don't have anything else orange but this, because orange is not much of a color for me, but this yarn, it kind of looks good. I kind of like this orange. However, it only works with black paired with black or blue. Maybe the contrast is there. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. It's a very easy pattern. I will definitely recommend you this pattern as your first brioche pattern because it's super simple. You have to know how to do provisional caston, or you can learn there, but other than that you will learn brioche. It's a little bulky, to be honest, so I will not go around wearing it everywhere. I haven't worn it out yet. I think it's possible to wear it inverted like that with the other side here, but I tend to wear it with the joining part on top, and I considered placing here some sort of button similar to this stone. They could place it here, blue as well, because orange and blue are very contrasting colors. They are opposite in the color wheel. So I considered, and I still want to make it maybe, or try it, but I haven't found the perfect stone to buy because the configuration makes it look a little bit like a vintage turban. It doesn't cover my hair. I don't know if it could, let me see if I could tie my hair with it, maybe in the back. No, it's very long, but if you have shorter hair, maybe it could cover your hair, or just tie it here like that, because it's bulky, super bulky way. See? So I think it looks like a vintage turban, and with the stone it would enhance this feature of it. I enjoy knitting brioche, but I did see it is a lot of work, so I still haven't had the urge to make an entire garment in brioche stitch yet. But this is an amazing project. If you have just a little bit of bulky weight from when you just started knitting or something, or as it's an accessory and as you can make with most accessories. If you were using a thinner yarn, you can just cast on more stitches to have the same width or the width that you want, and you can just knit it longer as well. See how it will wrap around your head and go wild with it. You don't need really to use super bulky to make this. Just follow the steps and you can have a very nice first brioche project. Let's go to the next project. This is the Urchin Beret by Isolde T. You can see here. You'll see now that most of my older accessories are blue somehow here. Well, that's why I dressed it blue today. It's a free pattern, also knitted in 8mm needles. It took me 2 days to knit it. Here it says it was June 14 to June 16 of 2024, but I think the date is wrong. Whatever, it was 2 days. And I knitted it with leftover yarn as well from my own sweater, which will come in another video, my seed stitch pullover. And it's in garter stitch, and the construction here is super interesting. It's knitted side to side, it's knitted flat in a long strip of fabric, and you start with a provisional cast on. You knit the bulging parts here, so to say. You shape them with short rows. Short rows in garter are so interesting. They are not German short rows, they are wrap and turn. And it turned out I knitted it just after the one that I want crop by Lily Kate Fraze, which also is knitted side to side in garter with wrap and turn short rows. I wanted something that would fit my scrap yarn, and in 2024 I had the goal to knit beret and headwear, but mostly berets. So I picked up one beret that was in my radar, and it was the same construction of the top I had just knitted. Those things happen in life, right? There is the first time you see something, and just one moment after you see it again. That's nice. I think if you want to try the sideways construction, if you want to understand short rows very nicely, do use this pattern. It's free and it's quick, and you will get this cutesy little thing in the end. I think her sample is in thick and thin yarn. I don't love it very much. I don't know if I love the garter. I was a little bit sick of this yarn when I knitted it, but it's a cute beret. You pick the yarn you would like with it, and you will get the result that you like. Isolde T has a lot of nice berets which I want to knit. A few of them are free and they are good to understand techniques. The other beret that I knitted last year was this one. So see how beautiful this stain work appearance. This is the Marvelous Beret by Sydney Krabauch by Squidney School of Vintage Knitting. In the very first month of last year, I subscribed to her school. I learned a lot there and I got her patterns, which you subscribe once, you get access to all the backlog. I was in love with this beret since the first time I saw it on Ravelry, and it was my first mosaic pattern. Very simple. It also went by so quickly. It took me 9 days to knit this. The pattern is in fingering weight. I knitted it in sport, and it uses 4 colors, and there is all this, so there is a reason why it took longer than the other beret, but very quickly, right? This was also knitted with leftover yarn, this time leftover from my striped sweater by Andrea Mori. All the yarns here, and just here in the inner side I have a few lines that were knitted with here, the different color here, the different blue. This was left over from my Sophie scarf, which is a more luxurious yarn. It's merino cashmere silk, just a little bit of cashmere, but still. So I kept in the inner side because it would rub against my forehead. The yarn is 70% acrylic, 30% llama. It's a very soft yarn. In the sweater it was a little bit prickly in the beginning, but I got used to it and it doesn't bother me. The problem, however, is that it is too soft. In the head it doesn't sit still. It's very flimsy. It wants to fall all the time. So instead of a vintage beret, I look like I'm wearing a reggae accessory. It has Bob Marley vibes, I should say, which are nice too, but weren't what I was going for with this one. I like berets. I had this one, which is store-bought, felted, and this was my first ever beret and the only one until I knitted those. And I want to keep knitting berets because I think they suit me more than beanies. Beanies don't suit me very much. That's why we have so many other different accessories here. The color scheme was ready for me because I just picked the same color scheme that I had in my sweater, but I changed the order of the colors to give it more contrast. And yeah, that's it. It's even cute in the inside, reversible like that. It's a cute beret, but I don't think I would wear it like that. And of course, another pattern that made me fall in love with a technique. I love mosaic. I have only knitted on one other project with mosaic, but I love the concept of it. I find it very easy, very calming, and very beautiful. It produces very beautiful results. That's it. Then we have something that I needed to make a pair with this one, which was my Rebelde Bandana by Kate Barrios. You can access it in her blog for free. It's not for the head, it's to be worn like that. Of course you can wrap around your head, but it's meant to be worn like that. You can probably recognize the yarn here. I made it to be worn as a pair with that, or just with my sweater, with leftover from that sweater, from that beret, and I still have leftover from this. Very little, but I had bought originally I think 5 skins, but this is not a dense yarn, so although it's super bulky, the skins have a lot of meterage, and you don't need much to get a cowl like that, a bandana like that. I picked this stitch pattern because it has those pearl bumps, which would then match the garter from the other top, because I wanted to knit those for a winter accessories cowl by the Woolly Worker that she was running in that time, and also for a fluffy cowl by Knit. This is a fluffy yarn. Both of them I decided to knit for the cowl by the Woolly Worker, and you had to make them match somehow in that cowl. You wanted to knit winter accessories that match it. How? Using the same pattern, a complete set, using the same yarn, which was my road. And so you can see here that it's a very easy stitch pattern. Here, that's the right side. No, this is the right side. I was wearing the wrong side, sorry. Here, you can see now how it looks in the right side. In the wrong side is not bad too, but here is the right side. You can see the pearl bumps. And it's a very easy stitch pattern to produce. As any triangular bandana, kerchief, anything, you can knit it longer and make it into a shawl. You knit it from the tip up, so you can keep knitting and make it into a shawl. It would be a very simple shawl, I should say, and depending on the yarn that you will use, quite striking. My yarn, its texture made it a little holy, but with a more solid yarn, it would be quite striking, I believe. And it's super easy, super simple knit, 10mm needles, and I knitted it in one day. Like, I remember sitting there in one afternoon that I didn't want to work on other things. I think I was needing a pause at my work, and then I sat there in a few hours. I knitted this one. It's 68 centimeters wide, it's 27 centimeters deep, and it closes just right around behind my neck. And you can see it creates some sort of a cowl neck here, or a cowl. It's a useful accessory, I believe. And now we get to my final accessory of this video, which is my Balaclava number 2 by my favorite things knitwear. It was also my first project with something. It was my first project with cables. The yarn, while not a scrap yarn, it was a wool acrylic blend that I bought in a trip, but I only bought 2 skins. It's iron weight, the wool is 30% here. So I thought that since it has a little bit of wool, this might be a good project to try cables. It didn't block perfectly, it didn't grow and everything, but still relaxed. I knitted it in 2 days, counting the time to knit the sample twice, because I tried in 4.5, which was the recommended one, and then it was too tiny after I blocked it, and then I tried it again in 5.5mm needles, which was what I ended up using for this. And it fits nicely. It's just one size here. Kind of a medieval thing here. I haven't ever worn this. I think this is useful if you're going out very early in the morning. Then you maybe use a turtleneck here, and then you wrap your head in this, because the wind in your ears is very, very heavy. My sister was going out early in the morning to work. I offered her to wear this, but I think she didn't pick it, never. So the yarn is lanceda by Circulo, which means wool silk, but there isn't silk here and there is very little wool, but I think they were referring to the fact that it's soft. It's quite soft indeed. The color is very beautiful. It's named Nankin. It's one of the few gray things I knitted for myself ever, because I'm not so fond of gray, but I like this kind of gray, which is very, very cool tone, very bluish. You can see that it has some bluish undertone, and dark. That's the kind of gray that I can deal with. And I knitted it for the construction. To be honest, I knitted it for the cables. I love this cable pattern. I want to make her top with this pattern, camisole number 8, I believe. And I want to make her vest with this pattern, and I want to make especially the sweater. I was in love with sweater number 15 since the first time I saw it, but when she released the 29, which solved some issues with the huge sleeves, then I switched my will to knit the 29 someday. By now I quenched my thirst for cables with this one. I think I have some place where I miscrossed it. Here, I believe you can see the miscrossed cable just here. All the other ones are going that way. The border here also goes quite okay. But who doesn't miscross a cable in the first project? And it made me love cables and search for a lot of cabled patterns to knit, and I especially like those all over cable textures, which are the same cable repeating all over and over. I think they are fancier, more chic. I think I would like to wear this more, but I also enjoy seeing those very varied cabled patterns. The cables that I don't like are those that look like a rope and it's very bulgy, you know? And those that have bubbles. I haven't ever knitted bubbles and I don't know if I like it or not. But this kind of cables, all over and very simple, are my favorite. Well, that's it. Enjoyable project. The construction is very interesting. And something that I have to tell about all of this is they were great to learn. Which brings me to my conclusion of today's video. The thing is, most of these patterns were my first foray into a technique or into a specific kind of accessory. So I can't say that accessories are a great way to learn something and discover if you like it and you would like to do it all over an entire sweater, dress or anything. Another thing, they were mostly knitted with scrap yarn or random skins, but mostly scrap yarn even. So if you want to stash bust, accessories are a great alternative because you don't have to be thinking about combining colors. I do have one in which I combined colors, but the combination was made beforehand. You can just pick the small amount you have and search for a project that only uses that small amount. You won't see then those very scrappy looking projects. You can stash bust with tiny things. They also are quick, so they are great palette cleanser when you are tired amid one big project. You can just stop for one day to make one entire accessory. If you don't use them a lot, you can knit it just for the enjoyment of knitting that, for learning something, and you can keep it away and have it as some gift knit that you will then use in the future to give to someone. Only advantages. Mine specifically were all knitted between June 2023 and June 2024, which I found was funny. 1 year that was intense in accessories for myself. Of course, there are others that I knitted out of that time frame, but they are in my other videos or they were gifts and everything. And they are mostly headwear. I think except for this, which is not even an accessory, and the socks, all of them are headwear or could become headwear. This is not headwear, this is for the neck, but you could wear it around your hair like that. So I clearly have a thing for headwear, and I think my accessories from my other videos are also mostly headwear. You would think I cover my head a lot. This is not the case, but I'm attracted to different headwear. I tend to find that in those patterns you find the most variety of techniques. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got some stuff to knit for yourself, some inspiration to knit one accessory for yourself or for a gift. I hope you enjoyed the 3 patterns I shared today. And tell me, what is your favorite accessory you ever knitted? You would recommend everyone to have one. It might be something fancier, something that you like it because you enjoy it knitting it, or it might be something just so simple that you will use every day. With that said, that's it for today, folks. Be happy, be healthy, happy knitting, and I see you in the next one.